Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. No matter where you are around the world, you are listening to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio, power985.com. All the latest and greatest in news, sports, entertainment, reality TV, and more. It's a great day, new season. We're coming to the end of the year. It's that cozy fall, ready for pumpkins, mums, maybe some sunflowers, whatever it is. Get your decorative season style going. I know I want to. I think I'm heading to the store today. Maybe pick up one of those cinnamon brooms. I don't know. I smelt it in a store yesterday and it smelled so good. And I'm like, I love cinnamon. Am I ready? Especially after moving back full-time to the East Coast. It's going to be incredibly enjoyable to finally experience the fall and winter season. I may not be too excited about it now, thinking about snow, but as always, I am from the Northeast, as you all know. I do understand how winter works, and I do know extremely well through experience how to make sure not to be inconvenienced by snowy weather. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'll keep you updated as we get closer, maybe when we get our first snowstorm, if we even get a snowstorm this year, about how I feel about it. But I don't have to deal with the city. I'm back in the country, so it'll be good to maneuver around. And you can't beat gas heat, so not having to deal with electric, and definitely if you got a pellet stove, wood burner, whatever it is it may be, we're going to definitely make sure we stay warm. I've got with us today, and I'm extremely, extremely excited about this, Mr. Mark McAdam. I found him on TikTok of a recent interview he did just recently on Mail Online. Sky Sports reporter speaks out on being the broadcaster's only openly gay male journalist, as he admits, "You never come out once," and reveals he's had weird conversations with players on the subject. This truly just got my attention in a way where we don't have conversations about what's going on in the gay community, what that means and how it affects journalists. Very different because Mark is located in the United Kingdom. I'm here in the United States. There could be some similarities. There may be a lot of differences. I have no idea, but we're going to find out not only better to understand the community and the differences or similarities between the US and the UK, but also our careers, because we're both journalists, we're both in the media, and also the fact to where what are our relationships like? How do people really respond behind the scenes, but also, in front of the camera, when you're interviewing, when you're live, when you're sitting there? It's such an interesting topic and subject where I just got to get into it. Mark, welcome to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco.
It's great to be with you, Stephen.
How is the weather out there in the UK?
You summed it up perfectly in your introduction, actually. It's just at that period of time where you definitely know the summer has finished. The hot temperatures have gone. That's a thing of the past. But it's not cold enough to be winter. It's just autumnal. There's leaves on the floor. It's a nice period of time, but you're in for some tricky conditions when it starts to really get colder. But in London at the minute, it's been quite rainy recently. We've had a lot of rain, but it's not affecting work too much, and you can still just about go out with just the one layer. You know, one shirt, one jacket, you'll be fine. But maybe in 3 or 4 weeks' time, you might need to start adding some layers because it's going to start to get a bit chilly in London.
What's incredible is not only are you 5 hours ahead of me, but your weather is exactly the same as it is here in the New Jersey, New York area. The same. It's just incredible. We can be thousands of miles apart, yet have certain life experiences in such synergy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love New York. My brother used to live there. I've been so many times. I've got friends that live there. I absolutely adore the place.
On your Instagram, I like your, I don't know, would you call it a tagline or so? So we've got, once again, Mark McAdam. He is a well-established sports reporter out in the United Kingdom. And here you say, seen on Soccer Saturday and SSN, I collect art. My brother ran away to join me, my brother ran away to join the circus. Tell us more about that, because I just found that interesting.
So it's actually true. My brother did leave home to join the circus. He, like myself, used to do gymnastics growing up. It was an incredible sport that gave you so much discipline, gave you the opportunity to grow, develop physically, mentally, emotionally. And when I got older and things, I decided to go and pursue a career in the media. And my brother decided to go and pursue a career in Cirque du Soleil. So he's an acrobat. He left home at 19, went to Montreal for an audition. And then after that was completed, he came back to the UK. They said, thanks very much for coming over. If we get a part in a show, we'll contact you. But at the minute, we've got nothing for you. And then a couple of weeks later, out the blue, he got a phone call and they said, we've got a place in the show. If you want to come out, there's a flight on Monday. So literally within the space of about 4 days, he packed his life up, went over to Montreal, joined Cirque du Soleil. And for the last 13 years, he's been touring around America, Canada, South America, Europe, East Asia, and just performing, just somersaulting his way through life. So yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And one of the great things about having a brother that, you know, goes to all these cool places is that I get to visit him when he's in a cool place. So when he lived in New York, I used to go out there for a few times. When he was performing on Broadway, I used to go and stay and enjoy New York and you know, Miami and various other places from America to Tokyo and Europe. It's been the most incredible blessing, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, if people say you've got a cool job, and I say, yeah, but my brother's got a much cooler job.
Did he ever do Vegas at all?
Yes, he did. He has done Vegas. He was there. I think he was there for 8 weeks, because a lot of what he does is a show that's on tour. He does have shows that are based in one specific place, but he did have about 8 weeks in Vegas a few years ago. Unfortunately, I couldn't go and visit him because I was too busy with work. But yeah, he's done Vegas, he's done San Francisco, he's done LA, he's done Washington, Miami. Literally, he's probably been to more American states and performed than I could care to remember. But yeah, he really has lived a life, and he absolutely loves it stateside. And it's brilliant because I do get to visit him in all these cool places.
A word to the wise. I lived in Vegas, I would say, I'm going to round it off to 8 years, but it was almost literally, it was like over 7.5 years. And I'm going to let you know that if you ever go to Vegas between mid-May to summertime, if you're not into 124 to 128 degrees, even though it's dry heat, somewhat, I can deal with it. I'm used to it. But I recommend do not go during that time, because it amazes me how people will spend hundreds to thousands of dollars to go to Vegas during the hottest months of nearly 130 degrees just to go on vacation. It's like, no, I wouldn't spend any money to go during that time, because there's no reprieve.
Yeah, no, do you know what? It's on my bucket list. It's somewhere I would absolutely love to go. I haven't got round to going just yet, But I am actually in America next year in the early part of 2025 filming a new series. So I'm hoping to get some downtime where I can visit some of these places along the East Coast that I'm desperate to go and see.
Could you give us a little bit more? What type of series? When would it be?
I think it's going to be February, March time. So yeah, we're just waiting to lock in the dates. I'm speaking to my producers, and they're going to decide exactly when we go out there. But it's a project I'm really excited about. Obviously, I love America. You know, absolutely love going to the States and try and visit as much as I possibly can. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. There's some exciting things in the pipeline, so it could be a really cool 2025.
Well, depending on where you are, Mark, when you come to the States and we're at, hopefully we can grab coffee and officially meet when you're out here.
That would be amazing. Yeah, hopefully so.
To begin, where I found you, and I'm so happy I did, was on TikTok. It was one of your most recent interviews. And once again, to recap, we've got Mark McAdam with us today. You can head on over to his Instagram, Mark McAdam TV. Would you like to bring us up to speed? You know, because I would like you to tell your story, why I found you, how I found you, what that interview entailed, and it's powerful.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, really. And working in the media, you know, a fair few requests for interviews and appearances on podcasts and shows and radio stations back here in the UK. And I do them most of the time, but I'm always kind of the opinion, like, you know, no one really cares about what I've got to say. They just want to know about the sports. They want to know about the stars. They want to know about soccer. They want to talk about the big moments in matches and things. That's generally what I do. I work in, you know, this industry, this football industry as it is in the UK, that's huge, generates billions and billions of dollars every year. You know, the games are watched by, you know, 200, 300 million people per match. And there's a huge interest right across the globe. So when someone comes to me and says, you know, we want to talk about you for a change, it always feels a little bit weird. Now, this podcast I did a few weeks ago, which aired just last week, was a small podcast, really, a small team that were just trying to create conversation about the LGBTQ plus community. They wanted to talk about my experiences within sport, working at the highest level, working for a broadcaster in Sky Sports that's right at the forefront of the Premier League, the English Premier League. And I agreed to do it. I didn't think too much about it. They didn't have a huge following, but I'd heard positive things about the podcast and the people that were producing it. So I went over to the East End of London after a show one afternoon. I sat down in this really cool little warehouse, recorded the podcast, which was a couple of hours, and I then went home, cracked on with work, and it was only really when a couple of weeks later they messaged me to say that the podcast is going to be launched tomorrow, just to let you know, and here's some clips for your social media. And almost immediately it went viral, and it had such a huge impact because of one of the things I said in the interview, which for me is something so common, and you may be able to identify with this, but as a gay man working in sport, in football, there are not many. In fact, there's none of me. I came out 10 years ago, September the 1st, 2014. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. And I told the world who I was, myself, no barriers, just authentically myself. But in this industry, you constantly find yourself meeting people who ask just quite innocent questions about, you know, what did you get up to at the weekend? You know, have you got a wife? Have you got kids? And you always have that moment where you have to just guess and just look at the situation and go, oh, right, I've got to come out now. Do I tell this guy I'm gay? Do I just say, no, I'm single? Or how do I answer the question? Because you're almost always trying to work out what the response will be. Because sadly, it may be 2024, but not everyone is cool with gay people. And sometimes you can really see the motion of someone's kind of being just shift. If you say, "Oh, I'm gay," you can almost physically see someone change the way they speak to you or deal with you. And that's the thing. So you're constantly coming out. I came out for the first time in 2014, and 10 years later, particularly in the sports industry, you still find yourself coming out on a weekly basis when you meet new people and you're dealing with people. And that's why I think one of the clips of the interviews I did went so viral. And I think it notched up over a million views in less than 3 or 4 days, which is quite astonishing for a small podcast. And I've had so many people reach out, particularly from the States as well, saying, "Yeah, I totally get it. That happens to me all the time. Every time I go to a new job, every time I'm working with new people, I have this moment where they ask what would be quite an innocent question. But for you, it can almost take you down a dark path of thinking, do I need to come out? Do I want to come out? Do I want to share who I am with these people I've only just met?" And you get put in that dilemma, which may only last a few seconds, but you always have that moment about, how do I respond? How do I react? What do I say? And that's the great thing about social media. The power of the platforms is that you can do one little interview in London that can be picked up around the world, and you can be stimulated in having conversations about your life and about other people's lives. And it's something that I think not many people have necessarily ever thought about, particularly if you're heterosexual. You don't think about being straight because you are straight, you just get on with it. But for being gay and working in this environment, it's a thing, and it's something you think about a lot. So it was incredible to see the way it's been received and the positive messages I've had, and lots of young people that reach out and say, "Thank you so much. You really have helped me, and you've really made me feel more accepting in pursuing the industry that I want to work in." And the thing that I find quite sad is that I came out 10 years ago, and yet 10 years later, there's still only me, which I think shows you a little bit about the progress or lack of progress that has been made in the sports media industry.
A huge lack of progress. And you and I had a chat before going live, and even our age difference, it's still, I'm very surprised that anyone believes there still is this acceptance and inclusion. I'm not saying it's not.
Can you hear me, Stephen?
What's that? I hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh, did we lose him? We're going to call him back.
Can you hear me, Stephen?
Yep, I heard you. We heard everything.
Oh, so sorry. I don't know what happened there, but I lost you after I stopped speaking.
No worries. We've got you back. I find, as I was saying, like you and I are somewhat, we've got over a decade difference in our age. And it's still very perplexing that you and I come from two different generations, yet the stigma is still there. The lack of understanding and education is there. I'm going to honestly say that I really believe, and I'm speaking from someone who has lived over 50 years here in the United States, that here in the United States, and if you'd like to expand on this, Mark, is that there are too many people, nonprofit agencies and whomever else, think that they know best for the entire community or anyone that is not heterosexual of how to speak for them. And I make it very clear. Nobody speaks for me. GLAAD doesn't speak for me. The community doesn't speak for me. I speak for myself. I speak for Stephen Cuoco, as you speak for Mark McAdam. And I find it so cliche, but not, to look at you, to see you. And what I found that was extremely alluring about you in a positive way is I never thought to myself when I watched that interview that I would need to try to understand who you are attracted to, personally, sexually, or otherwise, Mark. And the fact that people still to this day are so concerned about who someone is sexually attracted to. And the fact of it is, you are extremely masculine from what I see and observe. You are what I hear at times, and I've received this response, I don't know if you have, that we aren't the type of the typical gay man. Not like you don't have like what I see is in the world of sports, entertainment, and media, you are exactly what I know here in the United States of what the industry wants. Is it wants that perception as heterosexual as much as possible. And if you don't have to talk about your personal business, because it is still said in the industry here, gay does not sell. It amazes me that the people who believe they have power that are heterosexual or perceived to be heterosexual act as though they do something incredibly Christian or otherwise for someone like you and me to put us or allow us to be in a certain position to be who we are. Is that the same in your jurisdiction? Is that the same in your country? Because that's how it is here in the States.
Yeah, I completely understand with so much of what you've just said there, and I identify with a lot of the characteristics of being LGBTQ and working in this industry. And it really is interesting because ultimately so much of what we do in this entertainment business goes down to one thing and one thing only: money. And like you rightly said, you know, gay doesn't pay, gay doesn't sell. But one of the fascinating things about the interview that I did last week is the clip about me talking about a lack of LGBTQ plus representation within sport, within football, within soccer. It has generated so much interest. There's been so many people talking about this clip, about these reasons, about why, you know, there is a real lack of out gay men working in English Premier League football. You know, why can't people be themselves? Why is there still in 2024 this narrative that exists that, you know, you can't be out and happy? And it's a stigma that I think we're still challenging in this industry and we're still trying to understand. But it does really leave you scratching your head as to why we are in this situation. And yet there feels like whilst there has been so much progress that's been made, we are still caught in the dark ages in some senses.
Do you feel or believe, or all the above, Mark, that athletes, league owners, networks, as much as they're putting a smile on a face to people like you and me and, you know, saying what they say and, you know, being cautious because they're very cautious of how they touch you, where they touch you, how long they pat you on the back, how long they hold when shaking your hand, how far or how distant they're standing away from you. These are all things we notice. I notice it. I see it even with other people. Mm-hmm. I command my power and my presence. So I will not tolerate, and I make it clear all the time, I'm not tolerating foolishness of who's got the bigger dick here. Who's more of a man here? I'm showing up because I know who I am. Because outside of this body, I know who I am, and I'm not going to allow a genitalia or what the government says and what my birth certificate says to identify me. I am who I am, and I know exactly what my truth is in that expression. So for you, do you find that you're still monitoring? You still have to be more hyper vigilant as to people's body language, where they step, where they don't step, how long they're shaking their hand, where they're touching on your body? Do you find that you notice these things differently than if it's happening to a female or someone who is heterosexual, of how people are approaching them in comparison to how you're approached?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I've got to be honest, I've never found my sexuality an issue. I've never found it or felt in an uncomfortable situation when I'm with the players, when I'm doing my job, when I'm out on the road, when I'm at games, when I'm by the locker room. I've never ever found myself in a situation that's made me aware of who I am and my identity. But I know there have been moments in the past where, when you do have those open discussions with people and you talk about who you are and you talk about your sexuality and your partner and what you're up to and things, they do have this moment where you can see them visibly and physically shift their body language. And you can almost see the uncomfortable nature of this conversation or wash their body. And suddenly they're really conscious that they're talking to a gay man, and it changes the dynamic of the conversation. So I have seen that in the past, but I do feel that I'm lucky because I'm not the stereotype gay. Maybe because I am just myself, being myself in this industry. People don't have as much of a problem with me as perhaps someone who may be different in the way they act and their mannerisms. But this is one of the things that's so weird about sport. It's the homoerotic environment that's created that absolutely doesn't want to be homoerotic. It's quite weird, the dynamic that sport is. You know, it's guys living, sleeping, breathing the sport together, going through this journey together, but yet they're not actually together in a physical sense. It's a weird thing.
I would like to say, to expand on that, is you and I bring comfort to people because we know who we are and we don't deviate from our truth, but also because we're not wearing, and this is my professional, I'm just going to go here, objective and subjective opinion and viewpoint. You and I are not showing up after going through all of your content and everything. You and I don't show up wearing nail polish. We're not arriving on set in heels. We're not in drag. We're not doing. So I believe that we give people a sense of comfort, more of a gift to others than what we may receive from them, because we're not intruding visually or even in an auditory way that is contradictive or threatening to someone's belief system. I don't know about you, and if you would like to touch on this, I am a very, very much a person of faith. I'm not religious, but I am a person of faith. I have a healthier relationship with God than I think and believe most Christians or people who believe in God do. That's my opinion, and I hold to it. And also at the same time, I know that because of my belief system, because of how I dress, how I enunciate things, how I present, the strength, I've received compliments all the time about my posture. And if I get that because of certain exercises I do at the gym, or is that from Pilates or from yoga? Over 50 years of knowing what makes me feel good and comfortable resonates to other people, because that is what is called being empowered, having empowerment, living in truth. Can you relate? Is there something you would like to have to say or would like to say to what I just said?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I did wrestle with my identity and my look for a number of years. And you go into this industry, and I certainly did from my experience at the beginning, just trying to fit in. You don't want people to think you're gay. You don't want people to think you're different. You don't want people to be able to identify you in any capacity that takes away from the stereotype, from what they're seeing from other broadcasters and reporters. And then I got to a point where I felt like, do I need to wear the nail polish? Do I need to wear the pink tie? Do I need to try and identify that I am a member of the LGBTQ plus community? Or do I just rock on with what I'm doing and do my thing? And it was quite interesting how that internal conflict I had, because there was a part of me saying, I just have to do what I'm comfortable with. I have to be myself, and I have to be true to myself. But there was also the other thing that was on one shoulder saying, well, you need to stand up for your community. You need to make this visible. You need to let people know that you are gay. And it's really weird to have that conversation. Do I go out and try and look more gay so that I tick that box, or I appeal to a certain demographic, or people can see so we don't have to have that conversation? And in the end, I just decided I just have to be myself, and I just have to be authentic to me. And that's exactly what you've just said there. I just have to hold myself in the way that I see fit. And the things I wear, the things I do, the things I say, it just has to be me from top to bottom. And that's the way I decided to go about it. But like you say, it creates that conversation. And suddenly, because it's not obvious about the way you have your sexual preferences, it doesn't always, it leads to those conversations that potentially could be a little bit awkward.
Some comments, me in the military, I'm not flamboyant, so you wouldn't tell just by looking at me. But we move around pretty often and always meet new people that I eventually have to come out to. Another comment, yes, it gets exhausting. Very true. I hate going to the bar for those awkward conversations. True, it's constant. Your recent interview, All Out with John Dean, wrote, the only out gay male Sky Sports reporter, Mark McAdam, on having to come out again and again and again, especially working in the football industry. When asked about having a wife, girlfriend, etc., in general conversation, do you always have the energy and or confidence to come out again? And it really goes back to our private conversation you and I had, where I know who I am so much, and I refuse to allow someone to attempt to identify me or judge me as whatever it may be. My name is Stephen Cuoco. That's it. I don't have anything else attached. With all due respect, the LGBTQ plus, I don't have anything else attached to my name. I have a middle name. Whether I use it or not, that's up to me. I refuse, and you're going to understand where I'm going with this, Mark. I refuse to give, and no one has permission to go further than call me Mr. Cuoco, or if they want to, Sir, or Stephen, or Steve. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
But here we go. For some reason in the media, they have to do this nonsense. Let me get to it real quick. I just had it up. Let me go back here. So Mark McAdam, journalist. I find this so unnecessary. Watch gay British journalist open up about being a sports writer. Says you're always coming out. Where is it here? Let me get back to all. Gay British journalist opens up about being out. Gay Sky Sports presenter. This is the thing. The moment, if someone's heterosexual, they get all the fluff and romance and popcorn and butter and sugar-coated goodies. The moment you are identified, assumed, or labeled as being gay, that is the only thing. Here, there's 4 articles starting with gay. Gay British journalist, gay reporter, gay Sky Sports presenter. That is so fucking unnecessary. Yeah.
It's the labels, isn't it? Everyone has to put someone in a box. Everyone has to have a label. And I don't know what it is with society or with the way things are reported and covered, but everyone has to be this thing. And that leads on to the conversation, Stephen, about why there isn't maybe an openly gay professional player playing in the English Premier League. Because you and me both know that player won't become the person they are. They will become the gay footballer. Mm-hmm. And everything they do will be gay footballer Mark McAdam says this. Gay footballer Mark McAdam did this. And that, a little attachment to their name will be there for eternity. And that would be one of the things that actually would really upset me if I was that footballer that decided to come out at the highest level. And you've got that attachment, and the only thing you're known for is being gay, which is totally wrong.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one, gay British journalist. Oh, so not only did they want to make sure that the word gay was in there, but they needed to make it a point to state exactly where in its demographics you are located. Didn't they do you such a great favor? Such assholes. I swear they are. They're fucking assholes. And that's how I really mean it. Because this incites such prejudicism and judgment. And it gives permission to where when we think about journalism, we do not go to university to do this. There's a big difference between being a journalist, a media personality, and a media company. And trying to identify someone really, when we think about journalism and a way it should be, being a spokesperson or representative for the public to deliver the truth, it doesn't mean that these statements, these inconsiderate blanket statements and inconsiderations should be tolerated. And this reinforces over and over and over again. Anyone that says the industry's getting better, the world's getting more inclusive, there's more acceptance out there, it is not, because a gay Sky Sports presenter, gay British journalist, what is that really telling the public of how to think or how to assume? It means they could be inciting that we still need to live in a world where we condition a mindset that you label and box, and you understand exactly a person's importance, and you put them and place them accordingly as to faith, gender, sexual identity, and otherwise. And this way you can figure out and maneuver personally, professionally, religiously, or all the above, that when a certain person who may be connected to a certain group or party only hold relevance and importance in this specific area. And if they go into this area, such as gay doesn't sell, make sure that this athlete, make sure this musician, this actor, this person, this producer, this director know that if they cross over in this line, this is what's going to happen to their career.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and it's something that comes with coming out, those attachments. And they don't suit everyone, and they're not fair on everyone. But for whatever reason, society has created this environment where this becomes a thing, and it's sad, really, and it really is sad, because of all the achievements in my career, and you'll probably be the same. Me being gay is not an achievement for me. That's just something that identifies me, but it's not what I want to be known for. I want to be known for my documentaries, for my work, for my broadcasting, not about my sexual preference. And that attachment at the start of my name from every journalist takes away, like you rightly say, from the achievements of that person.
I want to play this one soundbite. This one I felt hit the box of nails through the board with one hammer swing.
I think the more people that come out, the more this is not a conversation. It becomes like, oh, okay, another one's come out. Okay, cool. I think the acid test will be those people that come out at the highest level, how they're respected and treated by fans, how they're respected and treated by 10,000 people in one stand. Those kind of situations will be where you really see how much or how little progress has been made within this game.
That's on All Out with John Dean. That's powerful. Hearing that again, Mark, I feel it in my body. Where can we begin, because it has to begin with us, what do other people, whether they are a journalist, a producer, director, actor, even someone that is a guy who's taking care of his family and going work every day and who's adopted kids, what do they need to do to not lose their sanity and integrity to be human? Did you get that, Mark?
Sorry, I think that the signal from London to the US just went there. I'm still here.
Did you get that last question?
Sorry, no, I didn't, Stephen.
All right. What would you recommend to every person, every man, anyone who's a producer, director, actor, musician, reporter, or that guy who adopted 2 children and all he wants to do is share it forward and take care of his family? What do you recommend for that person to not lose their sanity and lose hope and feel discouraged about themselves for just being human and wanting to live a healthy human life?
I think the advice, and this is something I tell myself constantly, is just pursue happiness. Pursue the things that make you smile. I try every single day to laugh, to smile, to joke, and I try and surround myself with people that can do that for me. And that's something that's really, really important. And that would be the advice. And I know that there are so many people out there really struggling with their sexuality. They're struggling with their identity. They're struggling with who they are. And they worry whether or not society has a place for them and who they are. And I think that's the key thing, that the world is changing. It is improving. It's turning very slowly, and things are getting better, not at the pace at which they should be getting better, but they are. And I think that's the most important thing. If you've got love to give, if you've got so much to offer, then go out, give it, do it, and don't worry about anyone else. And that's the key thing, I think, and that's something that you take from childhood, from education, from school. The moment you stop caring about what other people think about you, the moment your life starts. And that was certainly the case for me when I came out 10 years ago. And I still feel it to this day.
Mark, thank you for being with us today on Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. I would say that was the best closing thought, but is there anything else you would like to add?
Do you know what? It's weird, because whenever you do interviews, and you're probably the same, you want to leave people with something that really kind of resonates with them, that changes their life, that improves their life, that has an impact on their life, and maybe takes their life in a slightly different direction, whether it's their thought process or whether they want to change physically. And the world's such a tough place to be these days. There is no easy route to getting old. There are far more things and far more opportunities, and there are far more moments of creativity in life now. And that's something I just try and take with me with everything I do. It's just pursue the things that make you smile, and just remember that there is a place for you. There's a place for everyone. And if you don't think something can be done because of who you are, you just go and prove to everyone that it can be done. And I knocked down barriers in the sports industry in the UK 10 years ago. And there are young people out there that will knock down more barriers. And you just have to make sure you're one of those people. I love it when someone says to me, Mark, you can't do that. It's not possible. It's not allowed. It's never been done before. Because my response to them, okay, fine. Watch me do it.
I feel the same. I hear the same. You're not alone, Mark. That is why I want to thank you so greatly from my heart for this opportunity to sit with you and to have this conversation And I'm looking forward to now and in the future, you know, those that are listening to the live, that are going to listen to the live again, that are going to hear this on Biz Talk Radio, that are going to have access to it on any one of their podcast platforms, Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco, whether it's Amazon Music, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. This is going to live on, and the right people at the right time are going to hear your interview before they're going to hear this interview. And yeah, there's more people out there that are like that. The moment they hear just as what you had stated, Mark, okay, thank you for letting me know your limitation and telling me the truth of your belief and belief systems and your rule of law, but that is not mine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, hold the line. We're going to close out real quick. I like to have a nice private thank you with you if you're up to it once I'm out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again to everyone who's tuned in to Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio and Biz Talk Radio. This interview will air on Biz Talk Radio, so definitely check the schedule. And Live on Air with Stephen Cuoco airs weekdays on Biz Talk Radio at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. All things Power 98.5. Download the app. Tune in on Alexa. Power 98.5 is available on Apple Music. Check the schedule, and the best and easiest place, and it's free. You don't need a phone number. You don't need an email. You don't need to put in any of your personal information. Just download the Power 98.5 satellite radio app. All information, even access to exclusive interviews, commentaries, and even movie reviews is available, and you can access that all on the app. Also, we have the instant messenger located in the bottom right-hand corner. Send us your message. If you would like to submit your music, email us at power98.5radio@gmail.com or contact@power985.com. Thank you. Take care. Happy holidays. And remember, someone else's laws, someone else's belief systems, anyone else that they are governed under within their rule of law of being a human and otherwise does not mean it has to be yours. Hold strong to your beliefs, stand up for yourself, and as always, treat everything in love and kindness, and that begins with you first. And the right people at the right time will come in your life, and the wrong people at the right time will fall off from the wayside, or they will just not even come into your peripheral or directly into your vision. They will become non-existent. Why? Because they will know that you are so healthy and put together, standing and living in your truth, they will not want to touch it. And they're doing you a favor. Have a great day, everyone.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.